Welcome to Majestic Top 10. In this video we present you 10 scariest people who ever lived. Make sure to subscribe for more videos. Let us know your thoughts on the comments section. Number 10. Vlad the Impaler. The inspiration behind Bram Stoker's Cape Count was a 15th century ruler of Wallachia, an area which today comprises part of Romania, who became a legend thanks to his unparalleled cruelty and proclivity for monstrous executions, often of his own people. Disembowelment, beheading, flaying, boiling alive, and of course impalement were Vlad's favorite techniques to send his victims into their next life. Indeed, one story tells of the aftermath of Vlad's victory against the Ottoman Turks, when he ordered 20,000 men to be impaled on the banks of the Danube. Number 9. Belle Gunness. From 1859 to unknown. After being kicked in the stomach by a man while in her teens, causing her to miscarry her first child, Norwegian Belle Gunness is said to have changed from a normal girl into the legend now known as Hell's Belle. Looking for a drastic change of scenery after her miscarriage, Gunness moved to New York, where she quickly gained employment as a servant, got married, and had children, happily ever after. Not quite. A few years into motherhood, unfortunate things began to happen. Belle's children died one by one, each death supposedly caused by stomach issues. Then Belle's husband passed away. On the one day of the year his two life insurance policies overlapped. Number 8. Empress Wu Zetian 625–705. The only empress in Chinese history, Wu Zetian made sure she would be remembered for some time after her reign. A fearsome, ruthless ruler, Zetian was regularly known to order the tortures, executions, and forced suicides of all who stood in her way. Many who didn't, allies, clergymen, members of her public. Even her own daughter died at her command, and all in the most brutal of fashions. Number 7. Elizabeth Bathory 1560–1614. You don't get dubbed the Blood Countess without doing some serious dirty deeds to earn it. And it's the story behind this nickname which earns Elizabeth B. Bathory a comfortable place on this list. Being a member of Hungarian royalty, and thus all but untouchable by law at the time, Countess B. Bathory was able to act upon her uniquely sinister passions without fear of repercussion for years. Passions which included the mutilation and murder of adolescent girls, in whose blood she was rumored to bath. Many of the victims were the daughters of local peasants, who gladly headed to Bathory's Seasedge Castle to enter work as maids. Others were abducted by the Countess servants. In total, hundreds of unwitting girls are believed to have been lured or forced through Seasedge stores, never to re-emerge. When Bathory was finally arrested, the horrific accusations of the Countess crimes were verified by the testimony of over 300 witnesses and survivors, as well as the physical evidence of mutilated, dead, dying, and imprisoned girls found in the castle chambers. Number 6. Thug Bayram 1765–1840. Aside from being a shockingly prolific serial killer, with at least 931 victims to his name, cult leader Thug Bayram makes this list of monsters for the particularly chilling method he used to dispatch his victims: strangling. With a ceremonial cloth known as a rumor, Bayram would ritualistically kill his victims in front of his fellow thuggy cult members. A similar cult appears in Hammer's The Stranglers of Bombay. Number 5. H. H. Holmes 1861–1896. Born Herman Webster Mudgett, H. H. Holmes began his career as an insurance scammer, but soon began a new racket donating human skeletons to a number of Chicagoan medical schools. Now, if something about this new enterprise smells fishy to you, it's probably the rotting human remains in H. H.'s cellar. You see, Herman Mudgett is known today for being America's first serial killer. After moving to Illinois around the time of the 1893 Chicago World's Fair, H. H. set about constructing a 3-story hotel for weary travelers, complete with built-in torture chamber. A number of rooms were found to have hidden peepholes, trapdoors, and pipes through which Holmes would pump poison gas. A labyrinth of secret passages, ladders, and hallways also featured, as well as a grease chute which led down to the basement, where Herman had installed a surgical table and furnace. It's worth noting that this was all pre-TripAdvisor, so there are no reviews to give curious guests warning. Holmes was eventually arrested in 1896 for the murder of 4 people. Before he was hanged, the man admitted to killing at least 27 more. Number 4. Ilse Koch 1906–1967. During WWII, in a period which counts some of the worst human atrocities in recent memory among its key events, Ilse Koch still managed to rise to notoriety. The wife of a Nazi commandant at the Buchenwald concentration camp, Koch was known to gallop through the camp on horseback, whipping random prisoners. Worse, Koch would select victims from the camp in whose skin she took a particular sadistic interest. The prisoner would be killed and flay, and their skin offered to Koch to use as she saw fit. Chillingly, this included making lampshades, book bindings, and her personal favorite, a handbag which she carried everywhere. Number 3. Timur 1336–1405. This ancient Asian conqueror and founder of the Timurid Empire's favorite method for dispatching his enemies was to force them to commit suicide. According to accounts during his time in India, Timur ordered over 200,000 captured soldiers to jump from a cliff to their death, a la Frank Miller's 300. Number 2. Gilles de Rais 1404–1440. Cited as the inspiration for the creepy fairytale Bluebeard, the true story of this French nobleman is much darker in nature. A distinguished knight and Breton lord, who at one point served as a military commander for Joan of Arc in the 100 Years' War. Gilles de Rais' fine reputation was somewhat tarnished when he was arrested for crimes relating to Satanism, abduction, and child murder. The nobleman-cum-serial infant killer had reportedly turned to occult practices sometime around 1435, when he tried to invoke the devil to help him gain knowledge, power, and riches. After his arrest in 1440, de Rais was put on trial and eventually found guilty of the abduction, torture, and murder of more than 140 children. Number 1. Maximilien de Robespierre, 1758–1794, one of the most influential and instrumental figures of the French Revolution. This lawyer, politician, and skilled public speaker would galvanize audiences with his heartfelt speeches about freedom, patriotism, and civil rights for French people. Once he rose to power, however, Robespierre became fixated on instilling public fear as a means of effecting the change he believed the country needed, and soon he was using a constant threat of execution to terrorize the public into subordination. Thanks for watching Majestic Top 10.